Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Access this morning. Hey, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to just get yourself loosened up and ready to clap. Today's going to be a fun day. We'll start by welcoming those who are joining us on Facebook Live. Will you join me in welcoming them, everybody? Yeah. Today is going to be a fun day. Happy Super Bowl Sunday to you, just out of curiosity. Anybody pulling for the Chiefs tonight? Any Chiefs in? Okay. Anybody pulling for the 49ers tonight? Okay. Anybody not caring? You're in it for the snacks. Anybody? Snacks. 2 wins in a row. That's fun. Hey, today's going to be a fun day. We are wrapping up our series Legacy, but it's going to be a little different. I told you last week. This week we're calling it our family meeting. And here's the reality. If you came today saying, man, I really hope to hear an amazing sermon today, you are so out of luck, everybody. I'm just going to be honest about that. Today's not going to be a normal sermon. In fact, all week I felt conflicted about today because I don't have a message for you. I have a challenge for all of us as we talk about this next season of our church. And the confliction I felt was simply this. I realized that every Sunday we have people that gather the courage to come check our church out for the first time. And we're honored you're here. We really are. And I want you to know that if you're here for the first time, this is not normal. In fact, what I'm going to talk about today is the first time I've ever done this in 13 years as our church has existed. So it's a unique Sunday for you to come. But if you're like, man, I really want a message, I want to invite you to come back next Sunday. Next Sunday, I start a series of messages that I'm excited about. In Matthew 22, a man comes to Jesus and he's like, Jesus, what is the most important commandment? Jesus gives him 2. He says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. So many of us, we don't know how to love ourselves. We don't know how to take care of us, how to treat our souls. So next Sunday, I'm excited. We're starting a series called Treat Yourself. And it's going to be really good. We're going to talk about how you take care of your soul, the part of you that matters. And it's going to be really, really great. So join us next Sunday. Today, we're going to have a family meeting, everybody. Now, to kind of tie this all together, we've been in this series, and I think this just fits so perfectly. The series has been called Legacy, and we're wrestling with this idea that there is more to life than this life. Like you and I need to leave today knowing that there is more to life than this life. In the book of Psalm, David says this. David said, good will come to him who is generous and lends freely. And secondly, who conducts his affairs with justice. We got to give a certain way and live a certain way. And then surely he will never be shaken. And I love verse 6. Verse 6 says, a righteous man will be remembered forever. So we're talking about this idea of like, what does it look like to leave a life that leaves a legacy? Last Sunday was kind of a weird day. Had an awesome church service in the morning. And for Christmas, my wife got my boys and me tickets to the Pro Bowl, which was in Orlando. So we flew to Orlando as fast as one can possibly fly to Orlando on I-4 traffic. It was actually miserable. And we got there, and we got to the game, and I went to scan my tickets. And as I was scanning my tickets, the man who was scanning my tickets goes, yo, you're not going to believe this. That dude in front of you just said that Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. What? I had listened to ESPN radio the whole way there. I was like, man, they never said anything. And I had my phone out, so I pulled up Twitter, which where news breaks, and I didn't see anything about Kobe. I pulled up the ESPN app, and there was no mention of Kobe. And I was like, maybe it's just a hoax or someone's messing around. And I took 5 steps, and I got a text from my wife that said 3 words, OMG, Kobe Bryant. What? I couldn't believe that this was actually happening. And I was like, what's going on? And she texted me, he passed away in a helicopter crash. And I couldn't believe it. Well, all week has been memorial after memorial, and it's been beautiful. The stories, the things people have shared about his life and his legacy. It's been interesting, even some of the tributes that players have done, like taking 24-second or 8-second violations to represent his number 24 and his number 8 that he wore on his jersey. Just really beautiful. The other night, the Lakers had this beautiful, beautiful tribute to him where Usher sang and Boyz II Men and Yo-Yo Ma performed. And it was beautiful, the celebration of his life. And it was interesting to me paying attention to this because, number one, I'm a huge sports fan. And so Kobe was one of the greatest that I've ever seen play. And it was fun watching that. But what's been interesting and what's been resounding in my heart so much this week is no matter how great of a life we live, there is an end to this life. And if you live with the lie that this life is all that there is, that's a really miserable way to live. My hope in the series is that all of us have seen that there is more to this life than this life. So the question I've been wrestling with you, and I hope that this has really resonated in your soul, is this: what will you do that will outlive you? What will you do that will outlive you when your life is gone? What will you do that will keep on keeping on. Now, we define legacy in the series this way. It's where my life lives on. And in the verses we just read, we saw that there's two different things that we have to do. We have to start by giving to something that will outlive me. And secondly, living my life in a way that so that my life outlives me. Now, this is just a fun season to be a part of our church because I really love how God ties these things together. Here at the end of the series, I want to talk to you about this building that God has given us. And it's a miracle how it's all come together. But I'm really excited about this. And I'm excited. So many of you have seen it. Many of you got to tour it a couple weeks ago. Several of you have sent me pictures of you like peeking in the windows looking like a creeper, and that's fine, whatever. But this is fun. This is going to be a total game changer for our church. And as we were working on the booklet, I put these pictures together of our church, and I'm like, man, what an amazing season we're in, and how amazing is it going to be in this next season as we get this building. But I want to tell you something. This is important. Our legacy is not the building. It's not. It's a building. It's walls and paint and carpet. It's nails and screws and hammers. And the truth is, I don't build stuff, so that's all that I know. But it's just stuff. It's walls and a ceiling. It's projectors and lights. It's just stuff. That's not our legacy. Our legacy is people. Changing the future for people for eternity. That's our legacy. And so our mission statement as a church is this, is we exist to help people take the next step in their relationship with Jesus. The thing I'm excited about with the building that I can't get my mind off is this. Our goal is to help even more people take the next step in their relationship with Jesus. This is the heart and this is the goal. Come on, can somebody give God some praise for this? Here's the funny thing, okay? We clap about this, and this is awesome, but this pushes against what's normal to us. This weekend, my wife and I went away for a couple days to celebrate my birthday, and it was awesome, and it was really great. And because we had no kids with us for a couple days, we saw 2 movies in the movie theater. I don't remember the last time I saw 2 movies in a theater in a weekend, and we did. And there was one day where we bought tickets, and you could pick your seats, and the seat that was going to be next to my seat, I remember looking at it thinking, oh man, someone's in that seat. That's the worst. Like, you don't know if they're going to be a loud chewer. Oh, you know the worst is people who talk through the movie. They talk out loud, like, shut your face, right? What is wrong with you? And so I was like, what is this going to be? Like, I never want to sit next to someone. I don't like sitting next to strangers in airplanes or at restaurants. I don't love that. But when we come to church, it pushes against all of our natural inclination. I want you to know this. God wants his house full. This is God's intention. And if there's this part of you that's like, yeah, I don't really know, and I don't really want this. I just want to say this to you in the most loving way I can. You need to rebuke that spirit of selfishness out of your life. It's ridiculous. God is all about seeing heaven full of people. And our hope as a church that this facility will help us to see even more people take the next step in their relationship with Jesus. Now, I want to tell you something new to our church, this new phrase that's really going to be it's instrumental in this next season for us. It's these 2 words, next gen. Now, next gen is just short for the next generation, and I want you to know that this is a huge focus for us already as a church, but we're going to just ramp it up in the next season because it is a really big deal. Next gen is really anyone birthed through high school. It's kids and it's students. As a church, we minister to them in 2 primary ministries, Access Kids and Access Youth, and I just want to tell you, they are awesome. They are really, really awesome. They're amazing. Here's what I want you to know. We do amazing ministry in the worst possible environment. In fact, I would say this to you like this. Currently, I believe sincerely that we have the best Access Kids ministry and Access Youth, best kids and student ministries in the whole city of Lakeland. And we meet in like cafeterias and in gymnasiums. I challenge all of you at some point to actually come at 6:45 in the morning or stay till 1 o'clock in the afternoon and see the amount of work that it takes to make amazing places happen for your kids to meet Jesus. I challenge you to see it before and after, and watch as it just comes to life because of the amazing teams of people who serve. Now, as a church, we've always cared about this. This is a big deal to us, but I want to take it a step farther. In this next season, this is going to be the first thing that we spend money on. It's really the first things you spend money on reveal your heart. And I want you to know that our heart is for the next generation. It is. Here is the reason. Based on the latest statistic, 2/3 of people who decide to follow Jesus do so before the age of 18. If you take this stat to the age of 21, it jumps to 3/4 of people make the decision to follow Jesus before the age of 21. Now, this is staggering. Statistically, only 23% of people make the decision to follow Jesus after the age of 22. Now, if this is true, shouldn't we invest our money in what's going to give us the best return on investment for heaven's sake? Shouldn't we? It's a big deal. So we're going all in on this. Let me talk to you parents for just a moment. This is a big deal for you and for your family. You need to be a part of a church that your kids love going to church. Like if you want your kids to grow up and have families someday that bring their families to church, you need to be active in church, and you need to have them in a church where they wake up on Wednesdays and they're like, is it church day? Oh, I love church day. Like that's what you actually need. So many of us, we treat church culturally as optional. Can I just say this to you? Let me just get all up in your business for 1 second. If you treat church as optional with your kids, don't be surprised when they treat Jesus as optional as an adult. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So as a church, we're all in on kids and we are all in on students, and we're going to do everything we can. My hope is that your kids don't have to go through hell in order to get to heaven someday, but that they can make a decision to follow Jesus at an early age. Now here's something cool. I haven't done a lot great as a pastor, but one of the things that I feel like I've done the best is I've got the best team, the best staff, the best pastors anywhere on the planet. And I want to introduce you to our Access Kids and Access Youth pastors. Would you put your hands together and welcome Pastor Ida and Pastor Isaiah, everybody? What up? What up?
Good morning, Access Church. We are so excited to be up here with you this morning. My name is Ida, and like Pastor Jason said, I have the great joy of being the children's pastor here, and I love it. I love your kids.
And my name is Isaiah. I'm the youth pastor, and so I love you, and I love what I do.
So we're just going to take a few minutes and share some stories of what's happening. I don't know if you realize this, but every single Sunday, a couple hundred kids right outside these doors are experiencing the life-changing love of Jesus. It's exciting, guys. In the last 2 weeks alone, I've had families text me because his son sat right over here and gave his life to Jesus after night of worship. I've led kids in baptism meetings, and in a couple of weeks, I get to baptize some of my elementary students, guys. Come on. And one of my favorite things that we're doing in Access Kids right now is we are running consistent access groups. Consistent access groups. Every single Sunday in Access Kids Elementary, which is kindergarten through 5th grade, we run 15 access groups where your kids are circling up with a consistent leader, someone who knows their name, who knows their story, who knows their struggle. And I'm telling you that kids are being free and coming alive in their purpose in Christ. Just one story, and these stories happen every single week. But a couple of months ago, we had a girl in our older girls' small group, 4th and 5th grade, just come in. And after all of this small talk, after all of this relationship building, we have the best time after all the fun. She finally shared with her small group leader, her access group leader, I'm just not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. Y'all, this is what our youth and our students are up against. It's a different age. It's a different age. And I'm here to tell you that that access group leader, who's been a consistent voice in her life, got to grab her and look at her and say, you are enough because God loves you so much. You are called. You have a purpose. And we love you, and God loves you, and I'm so glad I get to be in your life. And that is the kind of stuff that's happening every single Sunday, and it's awesome.
Absolutely. And when I heard we were doing this, I thought of a student. She's in middle school, and she had been coming for a while, and just time after time, just attending, and she's super awesome. But then on a Wednesday night, one of the leaders grabbed me, and she said, hey, you know, this student, she gave her life to Christ tonight. And that was awesome. And that's the win. That's what we do. And so it was awesome. I was actually talking with her yesterday, and she said, Pastor Isaiah, God allowing Access Youth into my life is one of the greatest things ever. Not culture, not Instagram, not what people said, but God allowing a youth ministry into her life has spoken purpose in their life. And so I was super excited about that. So that's a huge win. The other thing is that on Wednesday nights when our students come in, because of our generosity here, we're able to provide free Bibles for each and every student that needs a Bible. That's awesome. And then like this little Access Youth booklet. And so we encourage them, hey, whatever God speaks to you, whatever sticks out to you, write it down. When we're teaching or preaching or anything like that, anything you have questions on, whatever, write it down. So not only are they getting the Word of God, but then they're getting something to follow up with that's super practical. So thank you so much. What you're doing makes a difference.
Love it. Can we honor these guys, everybody? Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's so cool to me, honestly. I've got kids in all these different age groups, and it's literally changing their lives. I love bringing my son Joey to Access Youth, and I love the whole car ride home talking about what he learned and how it applies to his 7th grade world right now. I just love, love, love being a part of this church in this season. It's so much fun. It really is a blessing, and I want you to know that the next generation matters here. Statistically, 100% of adults were kids at one point in their life. Haven't checked that. It seems right, though. And I want you to know that, like, if you're like, well, what about me? And what about my needs? And what about making me happy? Like, this may not be the church for you, but we're going to leave a legacy by who we invest in. It's a huge deal, okay? So a couple weeks ago, we got to take 700 or 800 people on a tour of our new building, and it was so much fun. And the number one question I kept getting from people over and over and over again was, how can we help? And I loved this question because it so reveals the heart of our people. It's such a big deal. And I want to tell you 3 things that all of us can do. They're really easy. The first one is we can all pray. We can all pray that God is going to bless this season, bless the efforts, bless construction. May it go under time frame and under budget in Jesus' name. You know what I mean? But just begin to pray. I believe that this is going to be a place where miracles happen, a place where we see your neighbors and your friends and your kids' school teachers come to faith in Jesus. And to really help you pray with us, when you came in today, you should have gotten a key that has the access arrow on it. I want you to put this on your keychain, and I want you to pray about it. Someone in the first service said, hey, what door does this open? And I was like, Pastor Isaiah's house. Don't tell anybody. Just show up. You should go. That's right, yeah. Pray with me. Pray with me about this, that God is going to bless this season. I believe it's going to be a miracle season for us. The second thing that I want you to do is not just pray, but I'm going to ask you to serve. It really takes a lot of people to make this church happen, and we have so many people who serve. Now, every person who serves in our church, we call them Team Access because we're all a part of the same team reaching people for Jesus. But here's the reality. We believe that our church is going to more than double in size in this facility. Do you know what that means? It means we're going to need double the amount of people serving that we currently have. I'm asking you, if you've been sitting on the sideline for any reason, get off the bench and jump in and start serving. In your worship guide today is a connection card. Would you let us know that you want to start serving? Now, the primary way that we get people involved in the church is through something we do called our Next Steps class. There is one literally happening right now in the building next to us. I don't know the actual total of people who came, but we had over 55 people registered for that class, which is amazing. Biggest one in the history of our church. And if you're sitting on the sidelines, I'm telling you, stop playing. It's time to get in the game and actually get active. Now, let me tell you one of the areas that I'm going to ask you to pray about serving specifically, okay? There's a lot of ways you can get involved, but here's something that everybody can do. We are not a church that has groups. We are a church of groups. We really think that life change happens when we get out of rows and get in circles. And I'm going to ask you to pray about leading an access group, and this is a really big deal. Currently, we have about half of the number of groups that we need just to serve the people currently in our church. The reality is when we go into this building, it'll probably be like 20% of what we need in the next season. So often I hear people say things like, you talk about leading a group and I have questions about it, but I'm kind of interested in it. Or they'll say like, I heard it and I was like, yeah. Let me say this to you. If you felt any of that in your soul, like you should, but there's just this fear, there's this intimidation, we take care of literally all of that for you. We make it so easy. Some of you have been wrestling with whether or not you should. You've said, God, give me a sign. Here's your sign, okay? It's time to stop playing. It's time to get involved and to actually lead something. If you are open to the idea of leading a group, they start next week. We'll literally give you everything you need, train you, help you, equip you, resource you. You'll have it all. I'm just asking you to let us know on your connection card today. We'll be in touch with you by Tuesday. It's a big deal, okay? Last thing that all of us can do, we can pray, we can serve, but 3, we can all give. That's what I want to spend the rest of our time talking about today, because this is going to take all of us working together and giving sacrificially to make this happen. Now, I want to talk to you about a big change that we're going to make as a church, because this affects all of us. Every year, our church is so faithful to give regularly through our tithes and offerings, but once a year, every year, we receive something called a Christmas offering. If you've been a part of our church, you know what it is. Christmas offering goes to meet needs in our city and our church and around the world. That's kind of the idea of it. And it's been amazing. But several months ago, I had a conversation with an amazing man from our church who had joined our church very early in the calendar year. And towards the end of the year, he goes, my wife and I, we love the church and we love tithing and giving. We always want to give over and above, but we don't really know how. Well, he hadn't yet lived at our church through a season of the Christmas offering, and I was like, man, it's Christmas offering, and it dawned upon me that so many of us want to give, and we have opportunities to give throughout the year, we just don't really have a way, and so we're changing that. So this season, we're changing from our Christmas offering to something new, and part of this is developing a new team that we're going to call the Legacy Team. The Legacy Team is people who want to leverage their resources to leave a significant difference in the world, to make an impact that matters. Now, the Legacy Team, to kind of define it this way, it's self-identified, which means we're not going to pick you. If you feel like you have a spiritual gift of giving and you want to give to accelerate the vision of our church, this team is for you. If you're tithing and you would say, God, I want to give over and above to help our church reach the needs of the city and to make a difference in the world, this team is for you. Now, technically, all of us are going to give quarterly to something that I'm calling the legacy offering. Now, this is a big deal. In the past, our Christmas offering went to 3 areas. We're expanding it to 5 areas. Here is where our quarterly legacy offerings will go. Local, national, global, next gen, and expansion. Let me run you through these just very quickly. Local, because we want to be a visible presence and help in Lakeland. Our church does this amazingly well. I love seeing on Facebook people post things about Access, and someone who doesn't go to our church will say things like, man, that church is really making a difference. Man, that church is so giving. That church is so generous. So we're doing this. Secondly is national. We want to plant more life-giving churches in cities around the United States. This is one of the best things we do, and we invest through 2 amazing organizations to see hundreds of new churches get started all around the country. This is a big deal. Then globally, we want to reach the lost, build churches, and raise up leaders in strategic locations around the world. Quick funny story for you. We work with the missionary in Africa who we just love. His name is Wayne. And we've built multiple churches in Kenya through Wayne. And one of the things we did on one of the last trips was Wayne has this small house where he can house missionary guests as they come through, but it didn't have hot water. And so because of your generosity, we paid so that he could have hot water. Well, I get a text message yesterday, and it's from Wayne. And it says, hey, man, I was just thinking about you, just took a hot shower. I wrote back, awesome, but bruh, don't think about me in the shower. You know what I'm saying? Right? But we're making a difference. Okay, let's move on. The next one is through our next generation, and that's an intentional investment into the future generations of Access Church. Listen, we already have the best kids and youth ministry in town. I want to do something that's the whole city knows about. And the 5th thing is this, it's expansion, which is to continuing to expand our church to reach people in and around our region. This is a huge deal. Now, of these 5, our Christmas offering used to go to the first 3. Let me say it to you like this. We're just expanding to reach more people. Because of your Christmas offering last year, these first 3 in the year 2020 are already completely taken care of. We're going to continue to do amazing things through them. So this year, our legacy offerings are going to go to these last 2 because these first 3 are taken care of. These will go to these last 2. In 2021, we're just going to, through our giving, we're going to meet all of these needs. It's going to be awesome. In one of our trustee meetings a few weeks ago, one of the guys said to me, great question, he goes, will anything we're doing with the building stop us from meeting these needs? And I said, not only no, we're going to ramp up and do even more because people matter. It's going to be awesome, okay? So let me show you this. This year, we're going to do 4 legacy offerings. The first one is a big deal. I'll explain more in a moment. It's February 23rd, then May 24th, September 20th, and December 13th. We'll talk to you about these as they come up, but just start praying about what God would have you to do. Now, the question we asked is how can we help, is that we can give. Let me show you what this project is going to cost and how we're going to do it together, okay? The first number is the big number. This is how much the total project is going to be, and it's $1.5 million. Now, I know that's a lot of money, but let me tell you something. That doesn't intimidate me, and it certainly doesn't intimidate God at all. We can absolutely do this. But what I want you to see is amazing. Because of your generosity and because of our stewardship, meaning the way that we have saved strategically over the years, we have paid the first $500,000 already, meaning our goal is to raise $1 million. It's amazing. So our goal is to raise $1 million, and they're like, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but think about this. Last week, there was over 1,000 people here on a Sunday morning. That doesn't include people who come to our church that missed for whatever reason. $1 million divided by 1,000 people is $1,000. Divided by 50 weeks, it's less than $20 a week for the course of a year, and we can make this happen. Now, I want to be careful to not make it minimal. This is a big number, and it's going to take all of us going all in to make this happen. Let me tell you where the money is going to go. Let me show you how we're going to spend the money, okay? It's kind of broken up into 4 phases. Phase 1 is our get started amount of money. That amount is $500,000, and that money will go to the renderings, the building architectural renderings, the down payment to get into the facility, and then it's kind of the beginning of construction, so the beginning of the demo and then the beginning part of construction. And again, I just told you, but because of your generosity, that whole amount is completely paid already. It's awesome. Phase 2 is where we start really transforming the facility. It's what we call the get in. Now, I want to be really clear. We need to raise at least $200,000 to get us into the building. And that money will go to create amazing Access Kids environments, tech, light, and sound. What this means is if we don't raise another penny over this amount of money, we'll use our same sound and lights and everything. But it's going to take some basic upgrades just to make it even usable in that bigger space. And then number 3 is furniture. Like, you need a chair to sit on. Your kids need a chair to sit on. We need a sign outside so people know that we're there. It's just the basics. This amount just gets us into the facility, okay? Phase 3 is really important. It's what we call the build-out phase. This $600,000 amount will complete the construction that we started in phase 1. It'll finish the build-out and construction, all the exterior signage, and then the exterior renovations that we need to make this space a great space. I'm going to come back to this in just a moment. Phase 4 is what we call the Make It Great phase. Now, this is important to us because we want to have an amazing space for you. We've talked about having amazing places for kids. We're not going to cut corners there, but when it comes to you, I'd love to go all in and have an immersive, amazing worship experience for you. So this money is going to go to a first-class cafe, amazing lobby space, and outdoor lobby area. We want to have major worship experience upgrades, better screens and lights and sound and all that stuff, and then an awareness campaign so that the city knows that we are here. So here's the deal. The total amount that we hope to raise in this campaign is $1 million. That's the hope that we have. And I said to you a moment ago that the first $200,000 is what we need to raise to get in. Well, when I showed this to the staff, one person's like, we need money for chairs before we build walls? Great question. Let me explain it to you like this. We can take a loan for the $600,000. We can. And the truth is our trustees have signed off on it. Compared to our budget, it's a relatively small amount of money. It would be like a family that earns $60,000 as a household income getting a car payment on a $20,000 car. It's very doable. We can absolutely afford it. It's no big deal. It's not. But also, I love the idea of being debt-free. I love the idea of not being a slave to someone and owing money to anyone. So the way I would say it is we need that first $200,000, and then after that, everything else that we do, it's going to grow at the speed of our generosity. It's going to grow at the speed of our generosity. I want to have an amazing worship experience for you. I really do. But we're going to grow at the speed of our generosity. And so I'm asking you to start praying about what God would have you to do. So the question is, how are we going to do this? Like, how can we pay for this? $1 million is a lot of money. How can we pay for this? Well, I've kind of thought of a couple different options, okay? Option number 1 is my preferred option. Option 1 is someone gives $1 million. Looking for hands. Is that a hand? That's not a hand. Looking for hands. No hands. Probably coming to the third service. That's where the ballers are. Okay. Well, look, if this is you, holla at your boy, okay? Okay, but I haven't seen any hands yet. Maybe God lays down on your heart. Listen to that voice, okay? But if not, option 2 is important, and it's that we all sacrifice for a season. The stuff you want, you sacrifice for. As a church, let's all sacrifice for a season. Now, $1 million is a lot of money. Let me show you how we can accomplish it relatively easily. Broken it down, all of us can play a part. If one person gave $150,000, and 2 could give $75,000, and 3 could give $50,000, and 6 could give $25,000, and 10 could give $10,000, we're most of the way there. And then if 25 could give $5,000 over the course of the year, and 50 could give $2,500, and 50 could give $1,000, we're there. And this seems like a lot. I know that this seems like a lot, but I want you to kind of break it down a little bit, okay? $1,000 over the course of a year is $18 a week. $2,500 over the course of a year. It's less than $50 a week. Like, we can all do this. And here's my challenge to you. I said this in our staff meeting the other day. My hope is that all of us, that we can find a way instead of finding an excuse. Find a way instead of finding an excuse. And it's easy to look up at this big board and say, well, I don't know how I can do that. How can I make this happen? Find a way. I'm not asking you to give this money next week. I'm asking you over the course of 2020, what if all of us made this thing happen? So I'm challenging you, look up here, find a lever you're comfortable with, and then go up one, right? This is faith. This is what it takes. Let me say this to you. Let me get kind of blunt and say this. This isn't about money. This is about faith. And when we step out in faith and trust God, God does more in us through those seasons than other seasons where we're comfortable and we can make it all work on our own without Him. It's a really big deal. So here's my hope. My hope is that all of us will look at this and we'll take this and make this personal. Make this something. It's going to take all of us together to make this a reality. We're not going to beat you up. We're not going to coerce you. Let's just all go in together and make this happen. This is such a big deal. Now, on your way out today, you're going to get a booklet, and it's going to have a card in it that says the Legacy Pledge card. And I'm asking you to take the next 3 weeks, and by Sunday, February 23rd, I'm asking you to fill this out and come back. We're calling February 23rd our Commitment Sunday. And all I'm asking you to do, again, I'm asking you to pray about this, but by February 23, I'm asking you to come with a commitment. And I'm asking you to do two things. The first thing is come and let us know how much has God spoken to you to give over the course of this year? And then secondly, I'm asking us to seed this thing, which means to sacrificially come on that Sunday with our best offering that we possibly can to make this thing happen as a church. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You have this card. You're going to get it every week for the next couple of weeks. Bring it by February 23rd, or you can go to access.tv/legacy, and you can literally fill it out online, whichever you prefer. But by February 23rd, let's all go in together and make this thing happen. Now, this has raised a lot of questions for a lot of people, and so I thought I would take just 2 minutes and blow through a few questions that a lot of people have asked, because it's kind of a big deal. So here's a few frequently asked questions, okay? First question is, when will we get to move into this place? Well, this is fun. Our goal is fall of 2020. It's fun. We have a countdown timer at our office. If you ever stop by our offices, we have a countdown timer. We are under 200 days from our hopeful projected date, which is awesome. Second question is this: how many seats will be in the auditorium? Well, we believe 600 to 800, depending on how we configure it. It's going to be awesome. Tons of room for you, your family, and friends. Next question: I want to help, but what if I can't give at this time? Well, everybody can pray and everybody can serve, but I challenge you to step out in faith and ask God what he would have you do. Let me say it to you like this. Over the course of a year, there's so many ways that we earn and receive money. I'm just challenging you to get creative. I'm challenging you, have a yard sale, do a bake sale, pay attention to your tax return when it comes in. I've seen people give their birthdays to charities, and they say, would you help donate? Let's just all be creative and see what God can do. You have no idea what God can do through you in this season. Next question: where will Access Youth meet? Fantastic question. Access Youth is the best of the best, so they get the best of the best. They'll have our auditorium. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Next question. Jason, have you been working out? You look great. Don't know how that got in there, but yes, I have. Thank you for noticing. Next question. Okay. Where can I see updates? We want to keep you updated throughout this whole process. We don't want you to feel like you're just giving to a black hole and you don't know what's happening. So follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I promise you I'm going to post a lot of pictures because your boy is really excited about this, okay? So follow us here. And then we have a special website set up, access.tv/legacy. We'll keep it updated with updates and pictures and videos throughout the time. If you didn't get to do a tour with us, there's a video of the tour already on the website. Just come see it. Just come be a part of it, okay? Last thing, and then I'm done. We're calling this our family meeting. Every family meeting has an action step, something that we all need to do together. Because I'm a pastor, I had to make these all start with the same letter. So here's 3 things I need everybody to do: pray, pledge, and participate. Pray, ask God what he would have you to do. Pledge by February 23 what God is going to enable you to do. And then participate. Let's all give to make this thing happen. Here's my hope. I hope we raise the $1 million. I hope we raise $5 million. Think of the good we could do. But here's the point. I'm really not even after an amount. I'm after all of us being involved. My goal is 100% participation. My hope is that when you step into that building someday and you look around, when our team tours you through the Access Kids environments, when you step into the auditorium and you see it, when you smell the coffee at our cafe, when you hang out after a service in our beautiful new outdoor lobby environment, when you're there, you have this sense of pride. I did this. I was a part of this. So on your way out today, everyone is going to get one of these brochures, and in it is a card that all of us can commit to together. The brochure's got even more information. I just wanted you to hear it from me and not read it in a brochure. This is one last thing. First service didn't get to see this. As I was leaving today, I grabbed one of these. This is a poster from the very, very first service we had in our college Bible study. This is almost 13 years old, and I picked it up and I got emotional because I also had this brochure. God's brought us from here to here. Who knows where he's going to bring us? Can I get weird for like 2 seconds? Is that okay? In the super, super, super early days of Access, over the summer, there were some nights where there was like 8 people, like 8 total. And worship was happening, and I just made this decision back then that I was just gonna raise my hands and worship God as if there were 8,000 people in the room, even when there weren't. And I had this weird night. I can't explain this to you. I had this weird night. One night we were worshiping, and there was just a few people in the room. And as I was worshiping God, it was as if I could see these pictures in my heart of what the future looked like. And as I kept singing, people on the stage and the stage changed, but the roar of people worshiping behind me got louder and louder and louder. It was amazing. And I saw these pictures. I don't know if you've ever had deja vu where you're like, I've experienced this before, but there have been some moments along our journey that I've been worshiping God, and I was transported back some 13 years to that room, worshiping with 8 people in the room. And I've seen pictures of what God's going to do. I just want to say to you, I've experienced some of them. One of the ones was our 10-year anniversary. We rented out and packed out the Polk Theater, and it was amazing. But I had seen that moment 10 years before that. There's still some coming that I can't even begin to explain to you, but they're amazing. And I'm just telling you, like, I know how business works. You want to invest in something that's going to work. I'm telling you, the best days are ahead and the best is yet to come. I'm challenging you to pray about this. I'm challenging you to ask God, what part do you have for me? And then let's come back by February 23rd and let's all go in and let's invest in something that is literally going to change the world. We believe this changes everything. So can we pray? God, we thank you for how far you've brought us. Thank you for the thousands of lives over the years that have been changed. And thank you that the best is yet to come. And God, as we invest in your kingdom, your project, your church, God, I ask you to just open miracles, make miracles happen for us. Help us to see this dream come to fruition. God, I thank you that our best days are not behind us, but they're ahead of us. Thank you that you've done amazing things in this season, but we really, God, believe that the best is yet to come. So God, we say thank you for the opportunity we have to invest in what you're doing through this church. Thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.